I thank you, Mr. Speaker. Let me begin by saying how honored I am as a member of the Distinguished Rules Committee to manage the rule for consideration of such an important piece of legislation that will provide $1.3 billion of tax relief for our nation's small businesses. This legislation, the Small Business Tax Relief Act, is strongly supported by a host of business organizations, including the U.S. Chamber of Commerce, the NFIB, the National Association of Manufacturers, and the National Restaurant Association. Small businesses are the backbone of this nation's economy. Every day we as Americans utilize the services of small business owners, whether it's dropping off our dry cleaning, grabbing a bite to eat at a local diner or pizzeria, or waiting in line to pick up a prescription at a local pharmacy. We depend on our small businesses. It's a constant struggle for most small businesses just to keep the lights on. Utility costs continue to skyrocket, and larger companies continue to expand services, pushing out the mom-and-pop stores in cities and towns across the country. My constituents in upstate New York have experienced this loss of economic activity firsthand, but that trend has continued. The Small Business Tax Relief Act would help small businesses grow and hire new workers by extending and expanding tax provisions that encourage investment in new equipment and promote the hiring of disadvantaged workers. And it does so in a fiscally responsible way that meet the pay-as-you-go requirements. Small business owners have to balance the books and stay on budget each month. It's only fitting that we do as well. Specifically, the bill would help small businesses invest in new equipment by extending and expanding expensing options for 1 year and increase both the amount small businesses can deduct from their taxes and the number of small businesses that can take these deductions. The bill would expend the Work Opportunity Tax Credit, which provides incentives to employers to hire individuals that frequently experience barriers to work, for 1 year, and expand it to cover disabled veterans. In other words, it helps those who need jobs by giving employers tax credits for creating jobs. It would enhance the current tip credit for small businesses by maintaining the current tip credit that small businesses take for Social Security tax they pay on their employees' tips, instead of allowing it to drop with the long overdue increase in the minimum wage this legislation will help achieve. The bill also contains a provision that would simplify tax filing requirements for businesses owned jointly by a husband and wife, providing much-needed relief for the many small farms throughout this country. Right now, there is a glitch in the Social Security tax law which only allows one spouse, most often the husband, to get credit for paying into Social Security. This leaves women who work as equal partners in an unfair situation. The Small Business Tax Relief Act fixes this glaring inequality by ensuring that both partners, equal members of the team, receive their justly deserved entitlement benefits. Moreover, this legislation does not only help small businesses, it's a win-win because passage of the Small Business Tax Relief Act is also a critical step in finalizing an increase in the federal minimum wage for 13 million hardworking Americans. I made a promise to my constituents that I would go to Washington to fight for a long overdue increase in the federal minimum wage. Passage of this measure takes us one step closer to fulfilling that promise. I want to be clear, I support a standalone increase in the minimum wage like the legislation we passed a few weeks ago with overwhelming bipartisan support. However, 10 years is too long for any hardworking Americans to wait for a wage increase. Let's not force them to wait any longer. The time to act is now. I thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I reserve the balance of my time.